Are you in need of some advice? Do you need some insight on a particular matter? Or maybe you'd just like to hear the opinions of your favorite three people? Well, this is the episode for you. Welcome to the Q&A.
A question about the arts and the craft. If you didn't know, then it's good that you asked. You tune into the culture. Just the rule of thirds. If you want to, you could tune at work, yeah. You tell me, does that frame fit good? Does it feel right? You want a still photo for your website, but you want a logo we can design, right? Yeah.
This week, you guys gave us questions and we provided some answers. Welcome to our very first Q&A episode.
Is it better to learn how to do something if you don't have the budget for it? So, for example, if I wanted to make a document, because I'm a musician, right? If I want to make a documentary around what I'm doing, or like document it visually, and I don't have the money to pay someone to video it, is it better to save up, or put the money aside for something, or actually take my time out and learn that new skill?
Damn.
Yeah. What are you man thinking?
What a way to start.
Whoa. That's a really good question. Who was that?
That was Jay Strings, producer. Amazing
Oh, yeah.
producer, actually. Yeah.
Shout you out, bro.
Yeah.
That's a serious question. I feel like, just to even kick it off, I feel like it needs context, bruv, because I feel like in some situations it'll be yes, and
Yeah.
others will be no.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean.
Go on, break it down.
So by yes, that you should learn it yourself is that,
Right.
say it's just a behind the scenes kind of thing, you know,
Mhm.
like you're just in the studio. I just want to make sure I catch, because if it's behind the scenes and you're in the studio like maybe 5 times a week,
Yeah.
to hire somebody to film those things for those 5 times, you don't have the budget. And does that mean that, because I don't have the budget, I won't do it? I think that doesn't make sense. Like, so if that's the case, then yeah. But if it's like a proper music video that, you want to really do well,
Yeah.
you have to invest. Do you get me?
Yeah.
Like, I don't,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't make sense. It's like saying, I don't know, like, them stupid examples, but it's like saying, this is going to be a dumb example, but let's say, I want to learn how to, I'm going to learn how to fix my car. You go and fix your car, and now your car explodes because you...
It got worse.
You know what I mean? Well, you could have employed somebody that knows how to fix it, a proper mechanic. Do you get me?
Yeah.
And I feel like some things require the specialists. So I think you have to kind of decide, okay, what's the priority of this thing that I want to do? If it's like a low maintenance thing, learn it yourself. If it's high maintenance and you actually require it for it to do well, you're going to have to invest. That's the only way. Yeah.
What about you, Mike? What are you thinking?
Yeah, basically the same as Burns. Like, it all comes down to what the project entails, and like, I guess the quality of the project or the style. Like, if it's more of like a run and gun documentary, then maybe you can afford to do it yourself and learn the skills. But if you want something that's quite a lot more polished, looks really good, maybe you want like multiple angles, I don't know, then maybe be looking to like invest and just like save your money and then pay for a team of people or 1 or 2 people that can help out with it. I think also, I guess one thing that we do forget is that, we have our friends around, and I think sometimes it gets into like the funny space of, okay, collaborating with these friends or actually like paying your friends for their services. If you can't, I guess it depends on the conversations that you can have with these people in your friendship groups or just people that you may know, and see if they like align with the vision, if they like it, if they're feeling it and stuff, and they're willing to work on it for free, then that could be a possible route to explore. Because sometimes you may not have the money, or even if you can like chip in something small, at least it's something. Or even something as small as food. I think from learning from like people that make like short films and stuff, and they're like collaborating, like a makeup artist will have this credit, or like a gaffer or a light person or director and all these people, cinematographer. Like one main thing they'll be like, okay, as long as there's food on set, even if we're not being paid, like at least we're being like covered in that department.
There's
like,
something there.
You know, there's something. Just to show like appreciation and stuff. So even if it is doing it with friends where it's a collaboration, and every, like, let's say you have somebody who wants to get more into film, so that could be a project for them to maybe work on, or someone who's like a makeup artist, if you need a makeup artist, or someone who wants to learn more about producing, and then that could be an the project to help them through that, then that could be something to explore. Doing it yourself, I mean, if you're not the main subject of the doc, then, well, to be fair, if you are the subject of the doc, you can always get a tripod and film. But yeah, again, it all comes down to the size of the project and like the style of it, the quality, and what you want to achieve. And if you think you can do that alone, then go for it. If not, get a group of people, I'd say.
Yeah.
What about you, Jude?
What about you, Jude? What are you saying?
I mean, yeah, I think I definitely agree with what both of you are saying. And also, I was just going to add that when it comes to like the collaboration part, I think a lot of people forget that their skills is payment sometimes. So like Michael was saying, like you don't only have to pay someone with money. Like it could be food, yes. It could even be you saying, look, I'm a producer, or I'm a an engineer. I'm going to mix and master your track, like your next track or your friend's track, or look, I can teach you how to do this, or you know, I can give you 2 lessons on this, or oh, do you want me to do some prints for you? I don't mind helping you out if you give me this. And like, you know what I'm saying, it's just that bartering system. It doesn't only have to be monetary. Sometimes it can just be like a skill exchange almost. So I feel like a lot of people might forget that, like, because a lot of creative people, like the question was asking, like you're in a space where you're already using one creative skill, but you want, or you need almost like collecting you know, the infinity stones, and not everybody has them. So if you don't, there's no problem with you saying, look here, you've got that, I've got this, you need this, I need that, and then we can kind of have that exchange. And then in that situation, kind of everybody wins. But again, there is no shame in asking. If you don't ask, you don't get. You have to ask, like, yo, can you help me with this? If the person says, look, I can't do it for free, then it's totally fine. If you don't have the money to afford a service, just be honest about it. Don't go promising something that you can't end up delivering, you know. But I definitely think that collaboration is probably the most helpful way if you can't afford it. But if you want to do it yourself, fine. But just don't, because at the end of the day, you're going to be investing anyway. If you're going to do it yourself, you're still going to have to buy equipment. So just think about if it's worth you learning that process, which might take you a longer or steeper, you know, learning curve in comparison to someone who might know it and might just get it done ASAP, you know.
I think I can lead that question on that, like I think what would you say are like tips and like pieces of advice that people can use to like learn new skills? Like what helped you guys pick up these new skills? And like when I say that, not on like a go to university, but like what are the quick, not even quick, but what are the easy accessible sort of softwares or systems or programs that you guys have used to learn?
I mean, I would say first of all, there is YouTube University, so everybody has to enroll. I think that will probably help a lot of people, especially if you don't know, like most likely if you want to know something and you don't know it, you quick Google search, you find someone who's giving you a very, very detailed breakdown on how to do something. So there's that. And I think just following off that, you probably end up like you figure out what exactly you need to get something done. So if it takes you getting like Adobe Suite or getting like a trial version of, I don't know, like Logic Pro, or you know, even like most people with a Mac have GarageBand on there, like just getting those starts, like entry points, and then testing it out. So like I'm like a massive advocate for like using what you have before you start spending money. And if you have GarageBand, I wouldn't like. I would say like if you can't afford it, don't go crazy. If you can, that's fine. But use what you have first and understand how it works, the basics, and then the principles, because the principles don't change. From you using Paint on Microsoft to using Photoshop, the principles still remain the same. You still have to use the same mouse and blah blah. but it just gets a bit more technical as you go higher. So if you understand the principle or the foundation, then you can apply that whatever like stage you get to, and that way it makes it easier for you. Because a lot of people are very quick to jump into like, I'm gonna buy a Blackmagic pocket cinema camera 6K, but they don't understand what ISO is. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's very it's just awkward because it's like you get the big equipment, the very expensive equipment, and your work still doesn't look great, and you're wondering why.
If I talk.
But it always comes down to understanding the principles and the foundation. If you don't understand that, no matter how high your budget is, it's like I know a lot of big budget things that still look awful. You know, and it's just about understanding what you're using your tools. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's a really good piece of advice. Like, even that whole thing about paint and Photoshop. I remember when I first started designing, I literally had to look for like a free software because there was no way I was paying for Adobe like straight away. That's crazy. And like even when I tried to do the free trial in the early days, I couldn't do it. It was just too hard, and I had to use some like free vector software called Inkscape. And literally I started doing all my stuff from that, and I got comfortable with like using the pen tool or shape builders and masking and all the basics of Illustrator, and that's what got me started. So when I got into Illustrator and I'd been using Inkscape for a while, it was easy to pick up. It just felt like it was like an advanced setting. Do you know what I mean? I think the same thing with GarageBand and Logic Pro, I believe. Literally,
Now
like,
there's
GarageBand is like the sort of it's like a basic sort of like primary school version, whereas Logic is like the secondary school university kind of. I mean, massive drop, but like you get the drift of it. But yeah, man, start small, man. Don't feel like you have to jump on the biggest things. Like what Gigi's saying, like you can get the most expensive tools, you can get the biggest investments, but if you don't know how to use it, it's not an investment. It's a waste of money. So make sure you're really using your stuff properly, man.
100%. And just to link back to what Jude said earlier about understanding like how to use things before you buy them or get them. It's funny you mentioned that the whole imagine you get this black magic
Blackmagic,
camera, right?
yeah.
You get that camera and you don't know what ISO is. Like it really got me thinking about. I remember there was like a couple years ago at like a YouTube event in London where quite a few of us like went to back in like I think 2017 or 18, and I remember like we were all talking and stuff, and people were like, oh yeah, like I've got this camera, I don't know how to use it, I just shoot in automatic. And I remember thinking, you guys taking the piss, right? You're taking the piss. And they're like, no, I don't know what happens, and I just hope for the best. In my head, I was thinking, excuse me,
Oh my god.
what kind of nonsense is this? But now, thank God, a lot of them do know how these things work. But it is so important to use what you can and start small. Even iPhones now, I know a lot of people say, let's say for like vlogging or YouTube or whatever.
Bro, the quality
that you can get on an iPhone, probably better. Like, take it this way: if you know how to use your iPhone well, especially when you have apps that you can use to like edit or even
bro, you don't even need the apps. Even on the camera, once you get the picture on the photo app, you can edit saturation, highlight, shadows.
If you know what
everything's there.
You know what to do, then you can make something that looks pretty good. And then if you want to add maybe like £10 extra, you can get maybe certain apps or lenses and stuff, and you can work with that. You can build up slowly before then, spending like hundreds of pounds on a camera, for example. So like you can really do a lot with the things that are in your hands already. And I know sometimes people think, well, I want to be like absolutely perfect and I want things to look incredible starting off, but most times we just have to start, and it's almost like you have to let go of that idea of perfection, because it doesn't really exist. Because you can get to what you visualize, like, oh my god, I want it to look like this, but then when you're there you might want a couple changes and for it to then stretch. But if you start now, you know what you're doing, and it actually opens the doors to, like, let's say your creativity, or just like what you could actually do with the things that you have, or more ideas and that kind of thing. I was gonna say one more thing as well. And just see if you can like utilize like the resources around you as well. So I remember at uni, quite a few people used to get like Adobe for free through a friend. Maybe if they like studied like a fashion course or art course, and they just like use their email and stuff. So you could do that, or Adobe Creative Cloud. I know it's expensive, but if you can get a student account through a friend, you could do that. I feel like there's always like ways that you can go about it if you just utilize the friendships and networks that you have around, and stuff as well. Because I'm sure somebody might have something that you can borrow or use. Even if it's to like, oh, can I just borrow your laptop to edit or something like that? If you have that kind of relationship with them, you know.
By the way, these are not
Burns
the
is like,
views.
I'm not. These are not the views of Rule of Third podcast. These are the views of Michael.
That's fine.
I use my own Adobe account.
Hey, look, Michael, I'm on your side. I can't
I use
lie.
mine as
I'm on your
well,
side.
but I'm just gonna keep it real.
No, I hear what you're saying,
I'm
but Adobe,
definitely
if you're
still
listening,
paying
this is just,
£16.24.
it's not our views, though. It's not our views.
I'm
These are
definitely
views,
still paying
please.
£16.24. I'm not looking to pay for.
You're a student. You're a student of the game, innit?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're a
I'm a
student.
student of
I'm a
life.
child of God.
Yeah, exactly.
And I actually like split the Adobe account with a friend, so it works out like £8 a month. So again, there's really ways to work around it because you can get like maximum 2
Save
accounts.
your money.
So yeah, there are ways, and then I'm not gonna say certain ways that you can do things.
Talk to me in private. You know what I'm saying?
What I'm gonna say is, crack. So yeah,
It's a hell of a drug.
I was saying that it was so true. Like I tend to be the most creative when I've got like limited resources. Like,
Yep.
do you get me? Like, there's times where I've had to literally learn from scratch. Like, okay, this needs to happen. And like what the guy said in the question, like, he needs to do this thing, and he hasn't got the budget. Or maybe this may actually be a chance for you to discover how good you may be at this skill.
yeah.
You get me? And if you're not as good as on the skill, then it shows you that you need to fill that gap with somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think that's why sometimes it's important to see the potential in like your friends, because I think oftentimes, like I've clocked that my friends are really good at certain things, and that because of that I put them on as much things as I can, because it's like almost giving them like work experience.
Yeah.
Like if friends didn't believe in me in the past, if they didn't give me opportunity to design stuff for them, I may not be where I am today, and all these little opportunities, even though they seem little, actually is work experience,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I remember I used to watch these videos. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Digital Rev. They used to have loads of like these photographer challenges, and they'll have like proper professional photographers come in and shoot with like a point and shoot camera or a toy camera.
Yes. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I used to like totally like love those videos just because they always kind of like not justified, but like it always made me feel like, what, it's not what you have, is how you use it. It's almost like that analogy of like you give two chefs a piece of steak. One is just starting out, he doesn't even know how to sharpen a knife, and the other one is like Michelin star chef, and you're probably gonna love the Michelin star chef's steak just because he has the experience, he knows what works, blah blah blah. You give it to someone who doesn't know how to use it, they're just gonna ruin the good piece of meat. So it always comes down to understanding your tools, and that's the most important thing. And if you don't understand it, you're always good. The end result, most likely,
Understand your tools.
you know what I'm saying, isn't going to be great. So if you understand what you have and what you're using, like Burns and Mike were saying, if you have an iPhone, understand, like there are photographers who shoot only on iPhones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are photographers who shoot
I
on
think there's a guy
like
called Prince.
yeah,
JC.
JC, and he shoots only on like on the iPhone.
Incredible.
So it's like understanding like what you have and how to use it. Like the DJs out there who just DJ on their phone.
So is it this iPhone? When I was in Ghana,
Yeah, iPhone
I think it was
DJ.
an iPhone DJ.
Yeah.
Raw.
Yep.
I was like, raw.
So that's the thing. It's just about understanding your tool. You don't have to have like a MacBook Pro with an M1 chip. You don't have to have all these like
True.
big. You just have to use what you have.
Have the
And
basics.
if you understand it, like the moment that someone, like if you can do amazing things with an iPhone with, I don't know, a 100D Canon or like whatever, the moment someone gives you like a C300 or like a cinema camera on Alexa, then your ideas are already solidified because you understand how to use the principle of it, and all from there just elevation from there. So I feel like it's definitely very important for people to like understand the tools that they have, and not only the tools but the people around them, like Burns was saying as well. If you understand who you have around you, then you know who to ask for advice on something. You're not just going to ask John across the way about how can I do this to the best ability. Like ask people around you, like, how can I get this done? How can I get that done? What do I need to get this done? You know.
Oh, hey guys. My question is, how do you go about finding your lane, your voice, your little spot in such a sort of massive industry that seems to be like very, very saturated? Like, I'd like to believe that everyone has and can find their lane, but how do you go about doing that?
Okay, I think there might be a few ways to kind of come about it, and I think one of the main ones is understanding that your perspective is unique. You are your own like person, so naturally speaking, there is no way that someone can do exactly what you're doing or solve a problem the same way you would, because I think as designers that's probably the easiest way. We are problem solvers, so it's about just like solving a problem, and no one can do it in the same way. But I think the tricky part, and something that me personally I've even struggled with, is like figuring out if I want to be an individual in society or a person who is
part of
good
a
at
collective.
working, you know what I'm saying, part of the collective human experience, like to be more specific, and contributes to that human experience. So in that particular instance, you wouldn't want to be so far removed into your own lane. You would rather try to figure out how you can merge your lane with other people's lanes. So I think it's a tricky, it's weird space to be in, because I think when I started designing, my intention was to serve, to make sure that people had what they needed to then further their lives and further their experiences and further their businesses, whatever. And then I got into the space of, okay, cool, I can do these things to further my own life in a more personal, more selfish, more just more personal way. And I think when it comes to that, then that becomes, okay, I'm trying to find my own lane in a space of saturation. And it will go back to the first point, which is like, again, you are an individual, you have your own way of solving things. But I think we're all kind of like trying to get the attentions of the same people. And unfortunately,
You are these people.
exactly, in these spaces, they tend to be people who, one, have money, have cultural capital. I think these are probably like the two like main things, which is like money and cultural capital. So it's either we're trying to go for the people who are very, very bait because they're just cool, the cool factor, or we're trying to go for people who can actually, again, sponsor our way of life or what we want to do. So maybe you have an idea, you want to pitch it. Like that's the only two reasons I can think of to why someone would want to be in their own lane or to stand out, is so you can do what you want to do. And those things will come down to who validates you in society, unfortunately. So it might be that, okay, cool, the cool people like you, so you have that on your side, but you might not have the money. And I think like in our own heads, we can probably think about a few people who are quite cool, but they don't have the money, and maybe that's why they've not blown. They're people who are very talented. I think we spoke about in the other question. A lot of talented people who might never blow because they don't have the right connections, or they don't have the money to kind of continue or even fund their lifestyle. Some people want to be musicians, they can't even buy a microphone, but they might be the best musician ever. You know what I'm saying? So this idea of staying or finding your own lane, I think the question I'd ask is, to what end? Like, what are you trying to achieve from that idea of trying to be in your own lane? Are you trying to be in your own lane so you
What's the
can,
end goal of that?
you know what I'm saying? Like, are you trying to help the world? Are you trying to facilitate a space for other people? Are you trying to make money? And then that would probably give you a better insight as to how you could be in your own lane and why you'd want to be in your own lane. Because some people don't want to. Some people just want to work a 9 to 5, come home, wife and a dog, a kid. Like, they just want the calm life. Not everybody wants to be this, like, extravagant. I'm like, like, not everybody wants to be Kanye West.
I want to blow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, some people just want to be the guy who works for Kanye West, goes in the office, does the paperwork, and goes home. So I think it's just understanding what exactly
I'm even
you
sure
want,
that
from that.
Which is perfectly fine as well.
Yeah.
Like,
But I'm even sure that Kanye, for example, didn't think, I'm going to blow. You know what I'm trying to say?
For some weird reason, I feel like he did.
because people.
I'm not gonna lie, because it's Kanye West. I feel like that was like
Like, yeah, I wouldn't put anything
okay.
past him. I can't
But
lie.
there's certain people that you wouldn't. I mean, no one knows. No one really knows that they're gonna blow. Like this as like that just to generalize it.
Yeah.
No, did Beyonce know that she was going to blow? Obviously, her dad was a manager and that.
Yeah,
But
I'd
you
say
got to say like,
Beyonce knew she was gone.
but to that extent though, to that extent,
maybe not the extent, but I feel like people know like, okay, cool, like I'm
trying to blow.
I know I'm gonna do a madness.
but then I guess that goes down to what you said. What is your end goal?
What is your exactly?
Maybe for Beyonce, and that was I want to be the world's greatest singer, so that's why it's not a surprise to her.
Yep.
Or for Kanye, for example, knew. Let's talk about fashion. Not even the music side. He knew that he wanted to get into fashion, and now he runs a $1 billion Yeezy company. Yeah, so it's like, I guess that was the goal. I think even with this whole thing, I wanted to sort of unpack the whole saturated part, and I think when I think about saturation, what I've come to realize is that no, the market is not saturated. It's our perspective and current exposure that's saturated.
Yeah.
So I'm telling. The reason why I say that is because I promise you, Judah Mac have like mentioned certain people, and I'm like, I never knew about them. And so every single person that I find out of, or every single person that I discover, my exposure becomes bigger.
Yeah.
And then you start to realize that wait, there are people like I always laugh about this, but there's people that are like they got like 400, 300 followers on Instagram, 200, maybe 100. And they are the most connected and plugged person in the world.
Making movement.
They're one of the richest people in the world. You wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? And it's like, trust me, you may think, I may think I know everybody in the industry. I promise you I don't.
Yeah.
Every single day I'm going to learn it. And ultimately, that's the thing. Like, we can't focus on it being saturated because there's space for everybody. You can, you can find your spot. That's going to happen naturally. You don't need to force your way to find a spot or a name. Your name will ring bells if it needs to. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But it's like, ultimately, just learn, what are you good at? What do you want to do? I was watching one anime thing this week that Judah's got me into, Demon Slayer. Which is so interesting.
It's impact.
Because it's not my kind of vibe, but it's actually a really good anime.
Because of the demons,
So- Nah, man.
I was not on that.
But what do you call it? There was one episode, and basically there was this guy that learnt this one skill, and the title of that episode was Master One Skill or something like that. I was like, right, yeah, that one skill saved his life, basically in that context of that episode. And it's like, really and truly, find your voice. No, not find your voice. Your voice is already there, man. Just cultivate it. I think that's the most important thing. A lot of people have like gardens that are very overgrown, and until they start mowing and start to beautify it and do different things,
Plucking out
it won't flourish.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I think it's a call to like really just, what is it that I'm good at? Don't worry about what other people are doing. I think for me, what helped me a lot was that I just did what I found was nice or what I enjoyed, and people have not identified that style with me. It's not something that I forced. It just came. Do you get me? In the same way, like when you draw something, it's funny because you know, like when you do handwriting or like back in the days in school, when you draw, you can only draw in a certain way. Do you know what I mean? Some people draw cartoons in a very weird way.
Yeah.
I was drawing in a very like nice way. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's got their own style, but it comes out naturally. But what your job is to cultivate that, and that's how you'll find your spot in that industry. Don't worry about the exposure thing, because trust me, your current perspective is very limited. The industry is much bigger than you can ever know it.
Facts.
And I'm just talking about the UK.
Facts.
Oh yeah.
Now think about the rest of the world.
Facts.
Yeah.
Drop the space.
Facts.
The space.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just sad though,
I
because
think-
if you think about it, like all the the people who validate, especially in like the arts, it's like the people who validate aren't many. You know, like the people who validate other people's it's sad, but like your job is always validated by someone else. So it's like, for example, if you design something and then suddenly Virgil comes and says, yes, this is the next thing, suddenly you're validated, in the eyes of a bigger audience, you know. And like, if we're going to be realistic, like, there's 7 billion people on Earth, innit? If we're gonna just take that and then use that as like the market, like, a lot of people in their own neighborhoods, no one knows them, you know. And it's like, have you even checked your neighborhood to say, like, okay, cool, who needs my services, or how can I make an impact in my, like, as I think somewhere in the Bible it says about, like, you know, conquering your Jerusalem. It's almost like thinking about your immediate space first and figuring out who might need you, and then you start to expand. Some people want to overreach, but they don't have the extension or facilities for that, you know. It's like you're trying to reach an audience in, like, the in America, but you don't have any type of connection or like means to get there. You have to figure out, how can I find someone in the UK who might be connected to the USA, or how do I send an email to the right people and do this and do that. Like the question was saying, I personally feel like the saturation, again, like Burns was saying, it comes from the perspective of how we see it. Like, again, if you're into design, there are some people that you just know. There's some people or spaces that you just know, and there's some people who are cool, and there's people who no one knows about, and they might be even cooler, but no one's gonna ever know because they're not in that space. So I just feel like we need to understand that it isn't saturated per se, but we need to understand how to maneuver through and figure out where we want to fit in, because there's always space. Like, you know, you can always push it. Thank you for supporting us by listening. Be sure to share your thoughts with us using the hashtag #RuleOfThirdsPod. Enjoy the rest of the conversation.
I think like we see it in like day to day in culture when there's something new that's been released, or I'm gonna use like the analogy of like makeup, for example. And I think there was like a time that a lot of YouTubers were just like releasing like palettes and just makeup and like eyeshadow. How many eyeshadow will one person buy? But
You all of them.
but you know, but people do buy them and constantly buy them, and especially if it's from a specific influencer that they really adore and admire, they're definitely going to support and buy their thing. So I think in situations like that, you can see that there is constantly a demand. And I'm reminded of this was like back in a couple years ago, like when I used to like work 9 to 5, and the company I worked with, we used to do like these conferences. So we had one where there was a woman, I think she was from Google, and she was speaking about the importance of just like trends and your audience and that kind of thing. And she wrote a book. I can't remember what the book was about. Maybe it was about like productivity or something. And she is a Chinese American woman, and the book's about productivity. And she's like a senior level person within, I think it is Google. I hope so. But she mentioned like with Google, you can check like trends, for example. So just checking the like, oh, okay, trends. Let's see what's popular in this country, what's popular in this area. So she was using it to check like, okay, when it comes to productivity in books, which countries are quite high on that, you know, on the graph of, you know, interest, let's say. And through that, she was able to kind of like market her book to that specific audience. And when you think of other companies and brands, it's like that's the reason an ad campaign will come out, because they're like, okay, what's the strategy? The strategy comes from a problem. We've realized that 16 to 30-year-olds don't buy our products. Why is that? And then they'll now do something to cater towards that. And things like that just remind me that, okay, there's actually scope for more, especially when you have these massive corporations, as big as they are, they're still like trying to do reach, or they're still trying to promote themselves. It's for a reason, because they know there's more. So if we compare it to our situation, our, you know, level, let's say, obviously if you look around like your environment, or and like for this person, I know they went to like study the arts at uni, like you could be surrounded by so many people, you're thinking, oh bloody hell, like there's all of these artists, and how am I gonna find my, I don't know, my tribe or my audience and stuff. But like you guys have said, it's just the importance of consistently showing up and doing your thing, and not saying that you should like create for the sake of like people, not get into that rat race, but just the importance of just doing you and sharing your work, sharing your point of view, even if it's going to different spaces that aren't considered like the norm, or, you know, everyone can go to a particular place because it's the well-known place to go to, but why not try something completely different? Why not connect with people that you don't necessarily may not know, or go into a new type of event? I remember I'm using a lot of like stories, but there was I think it was Lydia Dinger. So my friends have a podcast called Two My Sisters. Shout out to Courtney and Renee, and they had an episode with Lydia Dinger when they were talking about like travel. So like she's a travel influencer, and she got a tip from another influencer called Esther, and Esther Live, I think, and she mentioned how Esther would go to like tourism conferences and like travel conferences and connect with those people, and she'd connect with those people, and that's how she'd get like maybe certain gigs. But she was like, I don't know what influencers going to like a travel tourism conference in order to connect with people, and those are the right people that you need to connect with in order to kind of get those deals and build those relationships. So sometimes you might have to go to specific places in order to just familiarize people with who you are. Like I remember Obi and I, there was a time where we went to like the Dots office a lot just to kind of like show face, to be like, oh yeah, we're designers, we're interested in what you guys are doing.
What, man will just pull up there?
They had like events, so they had
the way man said it was like, you man
yeah, my bad, not just rolling up to the place, but like let's say they were
with
doing
bags and books and like
let's say they were doing like testing, so they did like testing for their website. So Obi and I went a couple times because we were like, okay, in the back of our heads we were like, oh, it'll be cool to like foster relationships with these guys, but also we use this platform and it'll be pretty interesting to do. So like in the back of our heads, obviously we're like, okay, cool, we could maybe see this is a good chance to network, and we network with other creatives as well as with like Pip and some of the other people in the team as well. So sometimes it could be doing that just to like get yourself out there, but then you know sometimes when they say like preparation meets opportunity. Like, okay, you can have your moment, but then if you don't have that work to show, then it's like, okay, that could be a moment wasted. But if you've been doing the work behind the scenes and there's a right moment for you, then bam, you've got, you know, the opportunity comes around, bam, you've got your moment, you've got your thing. And sometimes I kind of feel this way as well. Do all of our audiences need to be like astronomical? Like, does everybody need to have like 1 million customers? I mean, obviously growth is important, but sometimes an audience can be small, but they can be mighty. Like we spoke about this in the previous episode about you can have 1,000 loyal, you know, customers, and then who are willing to pay like $1,000 for a piece of work, but then you can have maybe 1 million people who would only want to chip in like 10p and stuff. So like, what's better to have? So you know, it obviously the former. So again, I think like you guys have said, the importance of building your voice, showing up, and just like networking and utilizing, building those relationships and stuff as well. Because if we really think about it, when it comes to the whole thing about audience and all that kind of stuff, it really kind of does come down at times to like the relationships that you have with these people, and you know, connecting with these people, linking with them, like connecting on like a deeper level. Like there's certain artists that we can definitely be like, oh, we love them because of what they represent to us and stuff, and what they translate. So hopefully there are people that have shared values with you out there. It's just trying to, you know, so I'd say like just scatter your seeds wide, and I'm sure like something will definitely like pop up.
And like, even to add on to that as well, like I was, when you were speaking, it reminded me of the overthinking episode about like how like sometimes you haven't release anything because we're overthinking whether it'll be good or not. And like literally, yesterday she had a conversation with somebody, and I was looking for somebody like to work with, and I thought of a person that I think would be great for the role, but on their page wasn't that much. So, and that frustrated me because it was like, I know you're good at it, but you don't have anything to show forth. And I think one thing as well, to if you want to, you know, build your brand and your name and whatever, and your voice, we need to see what you stand for. I mean, it's basic, but people don't do it. You know, so don't feel scared to like just release it, man. The perfection thing is a myth. It can never happen. But one thing I say, the way I work is I work to the best of my ability. When I know it's done, it's done. I don't work to perfection. That's not possible. Just release stuff. Don't feel scared. You know, like there is a space for you. 100% there's a space for you.
There's a space for you. Facts.
100%.
Facts.
Yeah.
We even said this in the NFT episode. Like everybody
Yeah.
has bought a bit of real estate on the internet. You have your Instagram,
Yeah.
you have your Twitter. Like that alone is your voice. Like
Yeah.
for you to say it's saturated, but you still have an account on Twitter, and
It's
like,
true.
you already have your space. You know,
Yeah,
you're just
yeah,
if
literally.
anything, you're just not utilizing it to the best of your ability, like the boys have said.
Yeah.
Especially like you guys said, there's really 7 billion people in the world, over 7 billion people, and we have the internet. So like our customers, audiences, whatever, it's worldwide now. Even with this podcast,
Worldwide.
for example, like
Globalization.
we have listeners abroad. So
Yep.
Shout to you lot, man.
no, thank
Shout
you.
to
To
guys.
my Romanian dons, shout out to you lot.
Come on. Shout to my Kenyan dons. Come on.
Shout out to the Canadians. Disclaimer: this person is asked to remain anonymous.
You see how right now you're finding that a lot of people are making clothing brands from scratch, and their main or initial customers are their immediate friends and family who get their money through a 9 to 5. Is it selfish or something that's not right for them to effectively get funding from 9 to 5 workers without them wanting to do a 9 to 5 job? If that makes sense.
So, guys,
I
try not to laugh.
I feel the shade. I feel it.
is it, the person will remain anonymous. Because
Oh my god!
we want to protect our listeners. Get me?
By the way,
Man says great creative alone. You man said. Oh. Okay.
so
Yeah, I'll read out some more. The person also wrote some messages for context,
Bruh, okay.
additional messages. But yeah, it says, but real talks, it's mad that you're indirectly sending me to work so your clothing line gets purchased, and then
feel
you
it.
indirect or bombard them to buy every release because you need to fund your lifestyle. Raises the question if you should get a part-time job to supplement you.
This is too funny.
And for context, like how do I put this, just in case man don't understand. So basically, this business that you run, this clothing line that you run, is only reaching your friends and family, right? But it's like you're basically using them to fund your lifestyle. If that makes sense, like, and I'm assuming the quality of this clothing line is very poor. You've got no future. You've got no ambition. No. Nah, it's got to be real now. It's got to be real. If you can relate, then this is something we should digest, isn't it? But
This one is a hard
But-
one to swallow. Can't
yeah,
lie.
it's hard to. But
I
yeah,
said if the
so they're
shoe
basically
fits.
saying, person's basically saying like, should you basically get like a part-time job if you want to fund your lifestyle instead of like selling these like, and like yeah, you know when people are like, they start businesses and they're like, oh, but
Support.
like if you're not my friend if you don't support me,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, kind of like burn the bridge because they didn't support your brand and you're always indirectly telling them to buy your stuff.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? So yeah, I'll repeat the question one more time. The written version of it. So yeah, does making your own clothing line make sense, or are you exploiting your 9 to 5 friends?
Mm.
Oh my god. Well,
Yeah.
you see, in this wonderful life that we live, you know, we all need each other, right? So, even though, yes, It's not just 9 to 5 people. The freelancers are making bank as well. Just disclaimer, just to put that out there, you know.
True.
Or because people say freelance doesn't mean they're working for free. Just
Yep.
pop that there for you. But I do get the sentiment and like the thought and stuff. It's like, okay, am I basically milking those around me in order to just like stay afloat or to do what I do? I feel like at the end of the day, yes, it's nice to have the support of those around you and your friends. And when you do start a new venture, of course, in the back of your mind, you're thinking it'll be nice if my friends did support. But you know, realistically, your friends or those around you, your family, most times aren't really going to be your like main audience for the product or the service that you're, you know, supplying or whatever. So
you can't assume it as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really important for that person to kind of focus on building that audience elsewhere and finding their tribe and finding their customers outside of their friends and family, because it's kind of not fair to the friends and family as well to kind of put that pressure on them, especially if they're not interested in it as well. If anything, that's even bad on you as a business person, because it doesn't make sense. Like, you're going, imagine like I'm going to trying to think of like a herbivore. It's like I'm going to, I don't know, a bird, and I'm giving it like a steak, or like advertising, oh, here, take a steak. Like, this is really juicy and tasty, but it's like a small like blue tip bird. Like, it's not going to be able to eat a steak, or maybe it might try it one time, but it doesn't make sense for it to kind of, you know, eat that thing. So you have to find those people that will kind of get that. And sorry, I'm still processing. Mad.
I can't lie, that was very brutal.
It was very loaded.
Boy.
It was a loaded one.
Yeah, guys, as I'm thinking, please, one of you guys, cause wow.
Jude?
Look here, okay.
I don't know how to tackle this question.
This is my thing here, because I'm conflicted. There is two parts to it. I feel like there is a level of entitlement that most people who are in the creative space feel like they have to put like across, which is just stupid in my opinion.
Speak on it.
Like, it's not your God-given right to ask someone to buy your product.
Speak on
by
it.
force, especially when you're your friends, because it's like like Michael was saying, they aren't your target audience. Most likely they're not your target audience, and if they are, there are better ways to market yourself. Because I'm pretty sure that this person's example, or more so question, is very specific, but also it probably comes down to how the person is marketing themselves. So, like, especially when it comes to like guerrilla marketing, where you're like very aggressive, you're very upfront, you're like, yo, buy. It could come across as like, you clearly need this to survive, and if we don't do it, then you might not be able to. And then it becomes almost like guilt selling, where you're selling things out of guilt. So it's like, if you don't buy it, oh, this is all I have. And
you don't want to support my business. You don't want to support.
You know what I'm saying?
Friends.
Exactly. You know.
Yeah.
And I feel like at the end of the day, a good idea is a good idea. Like, I support my friends when they put things out if I like it. If I don't like it, sometimes I'll be like, nah, it's not for me. But the thing is this, like, even if I'm not, if I'm not the target audience, and that's why I guess it's kind of like I'm a bit conflicted, because there's sometimes I'm not the target audience, but it's so good I can't deny it.
Definitely.
I have to share it. I have to support. Blah blah blah. So I guess it go back to the first point that I think Mike was making. Like, it might just not. No, so it might have been burnt actually. It might just not. It might not be good. The product might not be good. Oof. You know, and like, to the person's question, I think it's. I wouldn't say that it's directly to the 9-to-5ers. I wouldn't say like, oh yeah, it's the 9-to-5ers role to kind of put their hard-earned cash into someone else's pocket, and they just decide to make a clothing brand. But I'll tell you this: in every single form of like, or space, like music, fashion, design, there are always going to be people who are there solely for the money and not for the arts, and some people who are going to be in there for the arts and the money, and some people are only going to be in there just for the arts. And we just kind of have to have a more discerning way of like differentiating from these kind of people. Some people who are in the fashion space to make a brand because they just want to make clothes and sell it. They'll go get a supplier, print some stuff and bam, they're gone. That's fine. You know, and if you personally feel like maybe that, like you feel that hurt or that personal about it, just remove yourself from that situation. Because those people are gonna exist regardless of come on,
100%.
like designers, we go after people who need design. Everybody needs design. If anything, we're probably one of the quote unquote worst people in terms of exploiting quote unquote our friends, because I'm not gonna ask my friend to not pay me because I'm doing my job. But if they pay me, I'll take the money. Do you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, yes, they're my friends. Yes, you know, I sometimes there's been times where I've had to like rely on jobs from my friends to survive.
Yeah.
You know, but like that doesn't make me like, at the end of the day, it's still my job. So if the person that they're saying is like genuinely interested in fashion and this is what they actually like, it's been a passion of theirs from like young, I don't see why this should ever be a problem. Maybe quote, this is just me, maybe you might just be a bad friend in thinking that they are trying to exploit you. However, if it's not a personal thing and it's just a general thing, then fair enough. Like there are a lot of brands that are coming out, there's a lot of music that's coming out, there's a lot of design that's coming out. There's a lot of photographers that are coming out of nowhere. There's a lot of everything. The world is a saturated place right now. It's the internet. You can't escape it. You go on online and search designers, there will be 1,001 that come. You search for a clothing brand, 1,001. Like that's inevitable. So I don't think that should be a shock.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Burns mentioned this. You can be a fashion designer and have a full-time job.
Yeah.
You can be a fashion designer and have a part-time job. So the assumption that people are relying solely on
To fund the lifestyle.
to find the lifestyle, I feel like it might come off a bit naive. But I know that's not necessarily the intention.
I mean, people definitely do that, but I think like what you're saying, Jude, like we ultimately have the power as consumers, to decide what we're going to invest our money in, what we're going to put our money in. If you feel like this brand has no longevity, it's just a sort of money making machine, don't put your money into it. You know what I mean, I only buy into brands that I really believe what they're doing and I actually want to invest into what they're doing. I want to further their vision. And if you feel like their vision is not planted in something solid, don't invest in it. Just don't. And I think also another thing, like say for example, because not everybody has a massive social media following, for example. I mean, if you talk about today's context, people sell that. I mean, I'm probably sure 80%, 90% of people sell via social media. Whether that's WhatsApp, whether that's Instagram, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Twitter, it doesn't really matter. Social media. And say for example, they've got like a really low following and stuff. Who else is gonna buy into their brand? You know, and maybe they need their friends and families to actually get them out there because. No, what's that thing called? Is it degree of something? Where it's like
degrees of separation.
That's the word. Where it's like, where like I don't know, maybe like 6 degrees separation from like P Diddy, for example. I don't know, something silly like that. But like, we literally people are only able to get out of where they are now. They're only able to make that capital by their friends helping them out. Once they branch out, then that's where they start to build their audience. That's where they start to build who they were targeting at in the first place. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's probably a brand out there right now that I love so much, but I've never heard of it before. And I would have only heard about it because their friend bought it.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So I hear it, but again, don't feel like I've got many friends that got different brands, and I don't buy everyone's brands. Not because I don't like them. It's not a personal thing. You have to remember that businesses and brands are entities. They're not you. They are own entities. So Rule of Thirds is an entity. If you don't listen to the Rule of Thirds, that's not my beef. Because Rule of Thirds is not Burns. Rule of Thirds is not Mac. Rule of Thirds is not Jude. Rule of Thirds is us three as a podcast. It's a whole entity. And I think we need to, I guess, I think it comes with a sense of like maturity in friendships and maturity in like relationships where it's like, look, this thing is not this thing is separate. It's not you. Do you know what I mean? And you should never feel offended if someone doesn't want to invest in your brand or someone hasn't bought something. That shouldn't offend you. What you should be concerned about is your business objectives. And every single business, the objective is to make money. And you can't make money by spending money. You have to make money by having capital. You have to invest. You have to, do you know what I mean? You have to flip it all the time. So like, sometimes I think from the other perspective, sometimes people need their friends having to support them so that they
Definitely.
can get the capital to expand.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Even to
But like, if you sell wigs, I'm not gonna buy a wig for myself.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I've got
Just
friends that got wig businesses. I'm going
yeah,
to
but you
promote them
can
because
share it to someone.
I love what
yeah,
they do.
You can share it to
share-
someone,
exactly.
Yeah.
or,
So you
or
can
even
share
it, yeah.
as a gift for like somebody else.
What, buy wigs for a gift and that.
Some
I hear that
some
still.
people, yeah, that could be their kind of gift. But yeah, just there's something. It may not be
Bundles.
for you, could be for somebody else. But
Yeah, I hear that.
even to quickly add on to what both of you said about like the flip side, yeah, you definitely, there is a space for your friend supporting, or even as that if you're that person's friend, you could give them constructive, criticism. Oh, these are my thoughts on how you're doing things. I feel like maybe you could do it better here. What's the aim that of this, so you can get more information about the brand, and then you could be like, okay, cool, maybe this could be something of help, because it can be easy to think, oh, we're basically funding you, which is true, but again, like, we all rely on each other for everything. Like, if you look at
Yeah.
even these massive businesses today, like if you look at like a Netflix, for example, even though yes, Netflix is providing us a service and it's amazing and oh my gosh, we love it, especially with like we're all at home, they need us as well. With like, so it's similar to, for example, that person that could be working a 9 to 5. If your customers aren't coming to that business or whatever,
Redundancy.
fam, your job can be gone. And
Yeah.
for some people as well, if you want to talk about 9 to 5 thing, technology. Some people, their jobs will just be disappear, taken by robots. So just I think that's just an important thing, because not that I think the person was alluding to that, but it kind of like you did say, it kind of did sound a bit of a way like I was just like
No, but the question does make sense though. I think
Definitely makes
ultimately these are thoughts that we may have. These are things that we may sort of I don't know. Especially
it's definitely a
if it's been
feeling
done to
that you
before.
can't ignore.
If you've seen it happen to you before,
Yep.
it's hard to believe anyone else. You know what I'm trying to say? If someone has done, if it's clearly seen that someone's now increased their lifestyle and they keep on bombarding you, like that's why for me, like when it comes to my stuff, I don't bombard people. I just post it and dip.
But then again,
if you want to buy it, you buy it.
Then again, marketing.
If you don't, you don't. But
but sometimes like marketing, like if we're being real, especially in the creative space, sometimes you really do have to go ham to promote yourself. Obviously, it's annoying for some people, like constantly sharing me your YouTube or your pod or all of these things. But at the same time, like if we're being real, that's the game that you have to play at times to get yourself out there. You can't just afford.
How else would you be heard?
Yeah, you can't just afford sometimes to just sit like bread, like my time will come, or somebody will find it, but you're not doing anything.
That rhetoric will really,
sometimes that might have to be the way that you do it. Maybe communicate with that person. You know what? I'm not. Again, I think communication and clarity in these things and maturity. Just be like, okay, I'm not feeling it or whatever. I'm not really interested, and just let them know, and stuff as well. But I think in the creative space, like marketing is such an important thing. I think so. That's why I'm just like, I can understand maybe from that person's point of view, maybe why they're doing it a lot and they're coming to those specific people. But of course, they need to build their own individual target audience and cater to them as well.
Yeah, and I mean, marketing is not even. Some people are naturally just good at it, you know.
Yeah,
like true. I think as creators, the way my mind thinks, my mind's marketing based, if that makes sense. So when I design certain things, especially if it's like, obviously like it's funny because I've got a clothing line myself. Check it out. We Are Kids. So, but it's like, even with that, naturally when I make stuff, I make it from a sense of what would sort of appeal to people, and what colors would work, what fonts would work, what language would work. Do you get me? And these are the things that you think of. And the thing is, whenever you start, so seeing from my experience, when you start something, you're not thinking about. I never think about my friends. I think about who my targeting is for. Do you get me? It's because what you're providing is a product or a service that solves a problem, and that problem is something I've gone through, and I know others can relate to. Not my friends, because my friends are very different. I've got friends that are lawyers. I've got friends that are accountants. I've got friends that do different things, and it's like you can't assume. Do you know what I mean? I think people need to understand business etiquette, fam. I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a podcast episode about that, I'm sure, but people, I mean, forcing you to buy stuff. How dare you?
I mean, you could always block
You know,
them.
funny thing here, Burns. I actually don't even mind. Like, if someone says, "Look, yo, buy this," I actually don't even mind it. But I
You
think
don't mind it. I find it very
I feel
annoying.
like it depends.
the reason why I don't mind it is because if it like, as people, I think sometimes we're very like we have very unconscious biases. Like, for example, if someone I adored or loved said buy this, I'd buy it. Right? Someone you're indifferent to might say buy this, and you might just get irritated by them
Okay,
asking.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
So I feel like sometimes when people say buy this, we are only irritated if we don't like the person or we're very indifferent to the person. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, we have no interest in the product.
Or we have no interest in the product. Yeah, but like, for example, you know how we gave the example of if your friend had a hair company. Obviously, your friend is not going to come to you and say, Burns, buy some bundles for yourself. They might say buy it for, a woman in your life or, you know what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? But if you don't like the person comes to you and says buy it, you're going to get irritated. Like, there's been so many people I've seen on the timeline, I'm like, why they like no. But then I check myself and I realize it's because I don't like them, or because I want to do something similar, but because they've done it, I'm like burning a bit.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
like,
So it's like even to this person who's asked the question, I guess they should probably just ask. This sounds silly, but ask yourself, like, why are you like irritated? Not necessarily irritated, to the point of like anger, but like, why does it rub you the wrong way? The thought of you supporting a friend with your hard-earned cash, is it because maybe you want to start something yourself? That maybe this person's been brave enough to say, I don't want to work full time. I want to do this, and I want to make it work. If my friends support it, great. Because obviously I doubt the person has come and said, blah blah, support me. If you don't support me, I'm gonna go hungry. They probably haven't said
support
that.
me, I'm
but
dying.
like it, you know what I'm saying? I'm dying. But it's like if they personally feel like, oh, this person, I'm buying the clothes and I feel like I'm sponsoring their lifestyle, then they probably just check themselves and say, hold on a minute, why do I feel like this? Like, is it because I want to start something? Because a lot of times these kind of things always root from there. It's like there's been so many times I've seen things that I want to do and I'm just kind of like, damn it, like this, like I could have done it better. Like, why are they not marketing this way? Why not do, you know what I'm saying? And it all comes down to maybe just the fear of starting something yourself. This is just me over reading into the situation, but it could just be that you just don't understand why everyone's starting a clothing brand. It's not for everybody, to be fair.
It's not.
But even on the line of clothing, I think something that I've definitely seen over the years is like every single year there's a new clothing brand, and sometimes you can tell when people are just trying to make money. There's no ethos, there's no philosophy behind their brand. It's just, let's make money in the ends. And it's like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like that.
Is
that
it
dissolves
that
within
wrong though? Do you
a
think?
year. It's not wrong. It's not wrong because like people have. One thing I would say is that people have the freedom to do whatever they want. I'll go back to what I said at the start. It's your choice to decide whether you want to invest into that. We have the power to decide what we want to invest in. So if someone wants to start a brand that just it's got rubbish graphics, they just want to make money, and they are thriving, that's because people have decided to put their power to them.
Yeah.
You can't. Your business would not even be. Your business wouldn't survive 3 months, 6 months if no one liked what you're doing.
Yeah.
People clearly like it. People clearly want to invest into it. So they have the freedom to do so. It's unfortunate, but that's how the game is sometimes. It's like when
It's
people randomly
unfortunate.
just blow up and go viral.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? People go randomly go, but there's certain people that I know that are amazing singers, amazing rappers, and I want them to blow.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they may not.
Yep.
Some people are rubbish.
Harsh
Will
truth, but
just. Do you remember there was a time when there was in East London, Upton Park, there was this fisherman. Come
£1
on,
fish.
ladies. Come on, ladies. £1 a fish.
Apparently he got the
Bro,
Very, very
my
good.
man
£1
blew
fish.
blood.
Very, very nice.
He blew.
£1 fish.
very, very good.
But my guy blew. Do you get? And it's like, I don't know why these things happen, but it just happens. And all I can say is that just control what you can. There's a lot of things we can't control, and I think where you invest your money in is one of those places that you can control. So yeah, the power's with you. Thanks guys for tuning in to today's episode of Rule of Thirds. Feel free to share your thoughts with us using the hashtag RuleOfThirsPod. And for more from us, follow us on Instagram at RuleOfThirds.